Welcome to a summary of and highlights from my first ever Caribbean dive. In March of 2025, I was fortunate to have Grand Cayman as a port destination where I booked a scuba diving excursion. Beyond it being a 2-tank dive, I had no idea what to expect, what I would be seeing, or what sites we would be diving. Please stick around and enjoy my telling of what we did and what I found while exploring under the surface. Grand Cayman is a tender port. Cruise ships do not pull into dock and let passengers disembark directly onto a pier. Instead, they anchor at sea and have tender boats ferry passengers to the pier. Upon our arrival and anchoring, I gathered up my gear and met at the designated meeting spot for our tender trip to Georgetown, where we met the excursion guide who took us on a short walk to Cayman Diving, a 5-star PADI dive center. Our first dive would be a 2-in-1. We would dive the wreck of the Oro Verde and then continue on to explore Paradise Reef, circle back to the Oro Verde and then surface back at the boat. The Oro Verde may seem to be a pile of rubble dispersed across the seafloor, but there is so much more to her. She has a rich history, and her story will continue as she deteriorates and serves as an artificial reef. Originally built in the 1940s for the U.S. Army Transportation Corps, the Colonel Armin Peterson served 11 years doing coastal surveys along Central America and in the Southern Caribbean. In the late 1950s, the U.S. Navy acquired her and converted her to a Banner-class environmental research ship, an AGER-3, and renamed her the USS Palm Beach. She was then deployed to the North and Mediterranean Seas, gathering intelligence and intercepting wireless communications from hostile nations during the height of the Cold War in the 1960s. In 1968, her sister ship, the USS Pueblo, was captured by North Korea, compromising the technical equipment and safety of all AGER research ships. Shortly thereafter, the USS Palm Beach was decommissioned and sold into the private market, eventually being acquired by a Panamanian company for transporting produce from Ecuador to Miami, specifically bananas. This company renamed her the M/V Oro Verde, which translated means green gold. The bananas were loaded while they were still green, eventually ripening and turning yellow just as they reached the loading docks in Miami. There are unconfirmed stories that bananas were only part of the cargo being hauled. Substantial quantities of marijuana may have also been in her holds on several trips. In 1976, the Oro Verde ran aground on a reef near Grand Cayman, allegedly during a mutiny by the crew, who desired a portion of her illicit profits. She stayed beached on that reef for several years. In 1980, the Cayman dive community adopted the wreck and had her moved to shallower water and sank as a dive site and artificial reef. In 1988, Hurricane Gilbert moved her from her original location to her current location alongside Paradise Reef. Several hurricanes and storms over the years have dispersed her wreckage across the seafloor, creating an interesting and easy non-penetration wreck dive with lots of openings and overhangs for a wide array of marine life. So far on this dive, we have seen several species of fish, including gardening eels seen upon our sandy entry, juvenile striped parrotfish and sergeant majors on the bow and fore debris field, bicolor damselfish, terminal striped parrotfish, and colorful blue chromis, and both blue and yellow-headed wrasse. We have now transitioned onto Paradise Reef. And just a moment ago, the yellow striped fish we saw was a French grunt, followed by a couple of nice sea fan coral specimens. Paradise Reef is teeming with fish and marine life. It is a shallow reef with a maximum depth of 52 feet, 16 meters. It is covered with hard and soft corals, sponges, and often visited by turtles, barracudas, rays, and sharks. Here we have a beautiful blue sea fan coral with a few blue chromis swimming around the front of the screen. On the left side of the screen is a grouper hanging out on the rock face, and center screen is a cute little green sea turtle munching away with a few sergeant majors swimming around it. During this dive, my maximum depth was 52 feet, 16 meters, with an average depth of 36 feet, 11 meters. We dove for 48 minutes with an average water temperature of 81 degrees Fahrenheit, 27 degrees Celsius, and visibility, as you can see, was awesome. Here you can see the diversity of the reef fish, with several blue chromas swimming around the foreground and a blue tang on the left side of the screen. AJ, our dive guide on the left, was an excellent guide. He patiently guided us around the reef, but also gave us plenty of time to explore, capture video and photography, and just have fun. On the upper right is a black durgan. They are also known as a black triggerfish. They are a blimp-shaped triggerfish with bright white lines running along its dorsal and anal fins. From a distance, it appears to be completely black. However, upon closer inspection and with good lighting, one can see that it is actually mottled dark blue-green coloration, often with orange towards the front of the head. Black durgans are capable of changing their color based on their surroundings. Sadly, I was never close enough to see any of their true colors. The recent and current close-ups have been of various parrotfish, including a red-tailed parrotfish, several initial and terminal phase stoplight parrotfish, and an initial phase blue parrotfish. Parrotfish feed mainly on algae and, as such, protect the reefs from algae overgrowth. They also feed on sponges, which grow faster than corals. Therefore, eating sponges helps the slower-growing corals to establish and survive. This is an excellent example of the diversity of the reef fish present at Paradise Reef. There is a bicolor damselfish, several blue chromis, parrotfish, yellowtail snapper, and several other species in the school swimming around above and through the reef. I like this shot here because it shows the diversity of life upon the reef and just how open and beautiful this whole area is. It also shows how wonderful the visibility is throughout this dive. It's just quite phenomenal. Rising up from the bottom left are a pair of blue tangs. Blue tangs are from the surgeonfish family and range in size from 5 to 15 inches. They typically feed on algae, grazing across the tops of the reef. This little guy is a black bar soldierfish, a common species in the Caribbean. They are part of the squirrelfish family and tend to hide in dark recesses. And speaking of in dark places, just below him was a squirrelfish hiding in a dark place. And here we have a terminal phase yellowhead wrasse. Yellowhead wrasse range in size from 5 to 8 inches and are part of the family wrasse, which also includes the parrotfish that we talked about earlier. Sea fans such as these are a type of soft coral, which have their polyps embedded in a fleshy mass instead of the hard mass of hard corals. The polyps are the living animal portion of the coral, and they form a symbiotic relationship with algae, which provides energy via photosynthesis. This scene has an initial phase stoplight parrotfish, a blue tang, and in the dark shadows there is a lionfish. The lionfish are an invasive species that have no natural predator in the Caribbean or Atlantic Ocean, and as such are often eradicated by divers. They're eradicated because they are prolific in reproduction, and they also are very aggressive in eating a lot of the various reef fish. As we pan across this scene, you will notice in the background a school of yellowtail snapper. Yellowtail snapper are typically 1 to 2 feet in size and hang out above the reef where they feed. We are about to see a barjack swim across the bottom of the screen. Barjacks range in size from 8 inches to a 2-foot maximum. They are opportunistic feeders and are often seen with stingrays. Here we have our school of yellowtail snapper again with a couple of black durgans swimming about them. Swimming from left to right, we have a queen parrotfish. Behind her is a trio of black bar soldierfish and a French grunt. This is a giant barrel sponge. They typically grow in a depth from 33 feet, 10 meters, down to 400 feet, 120 meters. The giant barrel sponge has been called the redwood of the reef because of its large size and its long lifespan, which can be more than 2,000 years. And here we are returning from Paradise Reef back to the wreck of the Oro Verde. On the left, behind our guide, you'll notice a large school of silverfish. I believe these are blackjacks, which range in size from 1 to 3 feet. We continued to watch the school of blackjacks for quite a bit, all the while exploring another portion of the Oro Verde. I do not recall seeing them, but in my research, I have read there are several bicycles strewn about the wreck, adding entertaining photo opportunities for divers. If by chance you see the bicycles in the watching of this video, please comment below and let me know that you've seen them and approximately where in the timestamp, because I would love to see them. Thanks. And while we're not quite done yet, I would ask that if you have enjoyed this to please hit the like button and maybe even subscribe, because there will be future videos coming out soon. I truly feel fortunate to have seen so many new sights and species. I could not have asked for a better place to have my first Caribbean dive experience, and I'm extremely thankful that I've had the opportunity and forethought to record it, because it's only through watching and rewatching process that I was able to truly understand all of what I saw. Also, unexpectedly, I absolutely found an appreciation for diving wrecks. Beforehand, I thought of them as merely dead ships, decaying refuse dumped into the sea to make disposal easier for us. But instead, I discovered their importance as artificial reefs, and even dispersed and severely decaying wrecks have so many treasures and opportunities for exploration. And even submerged and decaying, they provide an opportunity to explore our history. I truly believe it is best that we remember, it's not the destination, it's the journey. I had no specific destination for these dives. My only desire in these dives was to have a great experience, and I was not disappointed in that. The journey was amazing.